Hey guys, in this video, we will learn more about how to get input in Python. So the question is, when you're getting input, who are you getting the input from? There's a couple of things that you have to understand. You are located here where you are writing the program. That makes you the programmer. So you are writing your Python code using your online GDB, which is the environment that we are using. So you are the programmer and you are writing the program for somebody else to use. So you're writing the program for someone else to use. That makes you the programmer. So here is the someone else. This is the user. So you are writing the program for this person to use. So this makes this person here is going to use the program and they are going to specify the input. They are going to give the input. So when you run your program, in some instances, the program will ask for the user to enter, be it a number, then the user is going to enter a number. But for testing purposes, when you write a program for testing purposes, the program is going to ask you to enter a number. You as the programmer will enter the number so that you can test your program to ensure that it is giving you the right output. So when it is used by the user, you know that the program is going to give you the correct results. So just understand the context of who you are as the programmer, and you are writing a program for somebody else to use. But when you are running the program, you need to test it. So you are the one who is going to input values to see if your program is giving you the right output. Why do we need to get input from the user? Well, let's consider this particular segment. In this segment, we're giving the variable A a value of 10. We're giving B the value of 20. Here we are summing up A and B and we're storing the result in C, and we then print the value of C. So the question is, what is the output when the segment is run? Well, that's quite easy because 10 plus 20 is 30. So when you add it up, you're adding 10 and you're adding 20, giving you 30. So when you print, it is going to print 30. So that's what the segment is going to give you. Two values, and when they are summed up, you will get the value, the answer of 30, because the values are 10 and 20 respectively. If I run the program again a second time, I'm still going to get an answer of 30. If I run it a third time, a fourth time, a fifth time, I'm still going to get a value of 30 because the value for A and B is fixed. We have fixed the value at 10 and 20, which means when I sum it up, I'm always going to get an answer of 30. So how can we make the segment more flexible so that each time I run it, I can use my own values and those values can be summed up? So in this instance, we now get input from the user. So instead of fixing the value to 10, we ask the user to input a number. And in the second instance, we ask the user to input a number. These will be stored in your variables. So when you sum up the variables, it's taking the numbers that the user has input and it's going to store that in C and finally print the answer of C. Please take note that I've written input number, but in Python, this is not how you input a number. I will demonstrate this shortly in terms of what the Python code is. In this segment, all that I'm doing is I'm demonstrating to you how you could ask the user to input values, making your program flexible, as opposed to it being fixed every time the program executes or every time the program runs. So how do we go about getting input from the user in making use of Python? So you can use the input statement in Python. There's something called an input statement, and that allows us to get values from the user. How do we use it? It's very straightforward. We say input, and we present a message. We give the user a message. It's always good to tell the user what to do. For example, if I want you to fetch a pen for me, if I don't give you the instruction, please go and fetch the pen, and if I just look at you thinking that you will know what I want you to do, then it's not going to work. I need to give you the message or the instruction, please fetch the pen, and then you can execute the instruction. So here, this is the message. We are telling the user what they need to do, and then the user will execute and they will enter a value, and that value needs to be stored in some variable. I'm calling the variable val, but you could very well have called it any name. You could even have said X to keep it cryptic, although we don't like to do that. We want to use meaningful variable names. Very important is that when you use the input statement, it always gives you a string data type. Please understand that. When you use the input statement like that, it's even though I'm requesting the user to enter a number, the number input is going to be treated like a string. For example, if the number is 30 and I'm using the input statement, that 30 is going to be treated like a string. Just keep that at the back of your mind. Now, if we want to do calculations on a number, from a previous video, you will remember that if you have strings and you add them up, for example, 30, and if I have the string 20 and you add them up, Python will simply take them and join them. So it'll take 30 and join it to 20, and it'll give you an answer of 3020. But if I want to do a calculation, 30 plus 20 to get an answer of 50, it then means I've got to cast these. I've got to convert it from a string. I need to convert it from a string into an integer. And that was explained in a previous video in terms of how to cast. And the way we cast is we use the data type in front of the input statement. So I just indicated that the input statement will give you a string. That string value is now going to be converted into an int, and the result is now going to be stored in a variable num, and that's going to be seen to Python as an integer because we did a casting on it. We cast it from a string into an int. So by doing this, it takes the number, makes it into integers, which will then allow you to perform calculations.